Here now with more reaction, ranking member of the House Intel Committee, Devin Nunes, along with author of the brand new book, Power Grab, former chair of the House Oversight Committee, Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz. Devin Nunes, I'll ask you, look, Mueller's been clear, and I assume he's going to stand by what he said in his 9.5-minute disastrous press conference. I assume he's going to stick to the Mueller report on the questions that the Democrats want answered. I don't think he could go back to, because now he's flip-flopped and flailed, and he's back to his original position that on obstruction, that DOJ policy or constitutional considerations were responsible for him not making a determination on obstruction, because now he's back where he originally was, saying it had nothing to do with that. But the questions Republicans can ask would be, in your view?
Well, first of all, Sean, I never want to argue with you, especially on your own show, but I am a little bit concerned that Mueller doesn't purposely try to create a narrative and that he's not working with the Democrats already. Being that this was postponed a week, there's got to be a reason for it. Remember, Bill Barr came out with Rod Rosenstein, said, look, and issued a statement, right? He issued a statement. And then a few days later, somebody got to Mueller where Mueller needed to come out, felt it upon himself to come out and make a 9.5-minute statement. Then, of course, later he had to rectify. I fear what's going on right now is that Mueller's working with a lot of his staff who are back-channeling to the Democrats. And so it is very possible that Mueller is going to have a few little sound bites that are going to give the Democrats exactly what they want. Now, as it relates to us,
I don't disagree with that at all, by the way, at all.
Yeah,
and I think actions would indicate that.
That's correct. And so when it comes to Republicans asking questions, I think what we need to do is stick to the facts of the case and not allow Mueller time to either pontificate and embellish all the time or embellish things that he may want to embellish. We need to ask very specific questions. We don't have to defend the president. The president doesn't need defending because the president never colluded with Russians. And I've been saying this the last week, and I want people to focus on this. This investigation was not about collusion. It wasn't about obstruction of justice. It was about setting obstruction of justice traps. So for the better part of 2 years, they were hoping the president would fall into it.
All right, Jason Chaffetz, do you agree with Devin Nunes? Listen, look at the people he hired. He needs to answer that question. I think he needs to answer how he ignored the dirty dossier, how he ignored FISA abuse, how he ignored the fact that there were intelligence people leaking to hacks like, Michael Isikoff, who was all too willing to spread what the New York Times calls Russian disinformation. Right, Michael Isikoff? Did you do that? Where did you get that information, Michael? And David Corn and the Washington Post and others. How does he get to taxi medallions, FARA violations, loan applications, and taxes, and not that?
No, you're absolutely right. And I think Devin Nunes is right. You got to ask short, sweet questions that are definable. Allow John Ratcliffe and Doug Collins to ask the majority of the questions if you could, because they've got to be direct on point. Don't let Mueller get out of his lane, but ask all those questions about the things that Mueller didn't do and where he didn't spend his time, and try to get him on the record as to what he was doing. But if they're not short, sweet, simple answers, you've only got 5 minutes. So you better stay within your lane and ask direct questions.
Okay, and Republicans then, therefore, Devin Nunes, they should be asking your top 5.
Well, I'm not going to give you my top 5, but I'll give you areas of interest. And that is that we need to, first of all, the Judiciary Committee goes before the House Intelligence Committee. So we're going to have to watch to see what comes of the Judiciary Committee. Then we're going to have to ask very short, simple questions. And I first want to make sure that we ask the questions of, how did this originate? Did you actually go back and look at Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson? And what happened before July 31st? Do you know anything about that? Those are the types of questions that need to be asked.
Last word, Jason Chaffetz.
When did you know that there was no collusion? Because it must have been obvious right at the get-go. When did you know it, and why didn't you shut it down right away?
And how did you ignore real Russia collusion? Everybody knew that there was premeditated FISA abuse, FISA fraud, to get a warrant, to spy on a campaign and individuals. Why didn't you investigate that? All you cared about was FARA? Really? Taxi medallions? I thought I know the mandate was broad, but he could have asked those questions. And if Mueller comes in with an agenda, I think Robert Mueller has a big problem with the Republicans on those committees. At least I hope so. Jim Jordan, are you listening? Doug Collins, are you listening? Devin Nunes, are you listening?
I'm here.
All right. Good to see you both.